All right, I'm going to react to this video here. I've just been binging some of Matt Spears' content here. If I move my, what do you call it, mouse here. I haven't seen the full video. I think I've seen parts of this. He put a KTM 450 engine in the buggy you see there. So I'm curious. I watched a couple.
With a sweet buggy from the 1800s, but no horse to pull it, I'm left with only one option, engine swap. And oh man, did this buggy need it.
Can you think of... Try to think of the most dangerous vehicle you could build. I don't think I could think of... Aside from putting, like, we can go further, right? He put a 450 on this thing. You could put a V8 on there, or you could put something really dumb, but it's more practical to put a dirt bike engine because the transmission's built in. Put a crotch rocket, like 1,000 cc on this thing. That'd be very quick obituary.
This video is sponsored by Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Ironically.
Pretty excited about this build. So we've got my KTM 450, really powerful. This is my 450. This bike is awesome. It rips, has a lot of power. So we're taking the heart out of this bike and we're putting in the buggy. First step, bike tear down.
I love these videos, by the way, like where people are engine swapping stuff to whatever. But man, this process, sitting funny. This process of taking the engine out of a bike that's like the manufacturer has taken all the time to make sure this is nice is so tedious. I've taken engines out of things before, and there's a reason they time lapse it. And then attaching it usually
is so small. It's so light. Taking this motor out was the easy part. This is where it gets interesting. Boom. Motor's gonna go something like that. Time to build a frame so we can mount this puppy. Step 2, cut out lots of metal. The buggy frame will be 1 3/4 tube, so I have to notch the ends so they all fit together like a puzzle. And just like that, it's time to weld everything together.
Just weld it together. To do a good job at this takes a long frickin' time. I'm just putting that out there. I don't trust my own welding skills. I mean, I would trust I could make stuff fit together. It would look nice. I wouldn't trust how long it would take, especially under vibration.
Instead of mounting the engine in the center of the frame, I decided to mount the engine on the far side. That way, we're able to leave the buggy intact as much as possible.
Also, where does one buy an Amish buggy? Like, can you go on eBay and just grab that? Is that a thing? Someone needs to comment where I can buy a buggy, because I would actually be interested in that. Not just Stark swapping a buggy.
The main frame is coming along. Now I need to build a mount that goes from here and makes a U to right here so I can bolt in the engine.
I don't mind. I'm curious when you guys see these builds. Like a lot of people, I'm going to use Weston as an example. I think he skips over a lot of this very quickly. I don't mind seeing it. I get how some people might find this boring, but it's kind of cool to see what processes they're going through. Because if you just see it slapped together, did they make weld it? Did they have it prefabbed? Did they go and get this done elsewhere? It's just cool to see. Most times not, because most shops I know would not touch this kind of stuff with a 10-foot pole. It's just a lawsuit written all over it.
With the engine cradle complete, it's time to cut out the axle mounts.
Like you could sell them.
And just like everything else,
You
weld
could
those
definitely
into place.
make a pipe.
Time to drill some holes to secure the axle. This will make sense later. The main frame is complete.
I think this video has.
Let me show you guys how it works. So this beast is going to sit right about there. I'm going to weld mount so we can bolt it in. That should be pretty easy. Here's the part that is sketchy. This is where the axle is going to be, but I don't have an axle long enough. So I'm going to take 2 axles and weld them together. I know this is a bad idea for many reasons, but we're going to do it anyways. We're just working with what we got. Let me show you how I'm going to weld it together with basic
over
tooling.
200,000 views.
So these are for the bearings.
And his
also, none of this is new parts. It's all used Facebook parts I found for dirt cheap. Actually, not really dirt cheap. I paid $300 for all these parts. I think I might have overpaid.
He was a nice guy.
He was a nice guy. The axles slide into the bearings. Picked up this piece of pipe that fits perfectly on the inside. I'm going to run it through both of them.
As soon as I'm running a diff on here, right? That's a lot of work.
Ta-da! And now I just need to weld around that. If you have a better idea, drop it in the comments. There's a good chance this is going to break at some point, and I'll have to make a new one. If there's a better idea in the comments, I could utilize that to make something the right way.
Every time I've seen a MIG weld, I never see this.
Let's see how we did.
Ready to use.
Pretty sweet.
Out the gun.
It seems to roll nicely. Now I need to file this down nice and flat so we can get a bearing over it. All right, guys, I'm pretty proud about how this turned out.
If you want wobbly axles, we got the shop for you.
Come by if you want to be less stranded. We're getting pretty close to the first start. So we're going to find out if this thing is going to work or if it's not going to work. This was pretty sketchy, but I
mean, this is fabbing yourself, but I wonder what it would cost to get like a Dexter trailer axle. For the sorry, that doesn't work. Never mind. It needs to actually rotate itself. Ignore that comment.
Something significantly more sketchy.
Something else in my head.
Okay. This sprocket goes right about here.
If it was like front wheel drive and you had one of these in the back, you could do that, but you don't need to. There's no point to that.
Wrong pitch. Our donor 450 engine, it has a 520 pitch. This is the chain for it that we're going to be using. The chain just does not fit onto the sprocket. But we got a solution here at Matt's Axle and Performance. I've got a 520 sprocket. Doesn't bolt up, but we're going to make it bolt up. So Brady, tell them what we got going on here.
Okay, so one option and one option only. We're going to drill holes in this sprocket and somehow line it up, bolt it together, and pray to God that it holds.
I think it's going to hold, Brady.
Look at the boot. They're bolting the gears together. I'm trying to think in my head if there's something better you could have done. Probably not.
So we built.
We didn't mess with the drivetrain on the Busa. That's the only reason why it continued to run. That there is why you buy good drill bits.
It's looking good, Brady. It's looking really good.
It's looking real good. Well, too good.
So Brady just whipped this up. It looks so good, just eyeballing it. But let's measure with the calipers. 21 mils. 21.
Oh,
Off a couple thousandths of a mil. Nice job, Brady.
certified laser eye.
How does it feel
I
suffering
wonder how
from
much
excellence?
I whack before you start to notice some vibrations, some oscillations.
Let's get this on and then weld the engine up.
The sprocket worked great, but that does not work great. So the solution to this small problem is clearancing.
It's very
We're
simple.
going to do some minor clearancing. Dude, I just rattled my cage.
It spins now.
It spins.
It's really bad.
She got a little wobble. Something's bad.
Something's really bad.
But I'm going to blame it on your axle fab.
Well, you know what they say. Cross that bridge when you burn it. How am I going to register this at the DMV?
Idaho Classic.
Could you? I'm thinking about an older vehicle. Yeah, you could. 1920, whatever. Buggy probably not, but older.
Oh,
Ready to rip.
I think it's gonna set a land speed record.
Oh, this wobbly thing.
Brady and I, we knocked off the sprocket mount, looking good. Time to tackle the engine mount. So I've gone through a couple iterations of these cardboard engine mounts. Don't really have any fancy tools, so we're using CAD, cardboard aided design. Looks pretty good. Time to make these out of metal and then weld them in. Once we get the motor completed, we have a lot more work, but we're getting closer to testing this thing out.
Some cool pieces here. This is a longer video. All right, we're in there for the long haul. I got copyright on the last one I did, so hopefully it's not a big deal. It says copyright, and then it says it's not restricting me on anything, so I don't know if that's true or not, but we'll see. There's another copyright issue.
Check this thing out. It's looking good. Axle's all done. Engine cradle is in. We've got our chain adjuster right here. Pretty slick. This is where the front of the buggy is going to mount up here with the leaf springs. Don't have steering figured out. I think for now, it's probably just going to be rope steering like a horse. A little sketchy. I don't know. We'll see how that works. All we have to add to the chassis is wheel mounts. This is our back one. Big dog. I've got an idea. It's really sketchy. This whole thing's sketchy though. So we're just going to go with it. Basically, 2 aluminum plates sandwiched together with bolts going through them, and that's going to connect it to this. So let's cut some aluminum. Time to turn this into a circle.
That first one, time to make 3 more of these.
These are for what? First off, that'd be stupid sharp.
We've got our spacers. Trying to drill a lot of holes through these so we can bolt them all together.
Don't make spacers. I guess that works. So axle's gonna run right through. Okay.
Wheel mounts are looking pretty good. Check this out. They fit perfectly. Now I need to take this and weld it to the aluminum hub so they are one. I'm a questionable welder. This is a very important part, so hopefully this goes well.
After we've already done,
I just learned how to
the frame
aluminum weld a couple months ago.
Okay.
You'll be going 60 and find out how good of a welder you are.
Well, we'll see. I think I'm pretty good.
I hope so.
I'm not good. Everyone in the comments are gonna be like, oh my gosh, he's terrible. We're gonna join these 2 pieces of metal. We're gonna glue them together with this. We are looking good. So I welded this to this, and then it's bolted through the wheel. I really don't know how strong this design is. If you guys have a better idea, please comment below.
Wow.
Oh yeah, there it goes.
Ta-da! Okay, now it's time to go get the buggy. Put it on top. Now we're gonna be driving this thing. Imagine the places we can take this. Anywhere. We can take it to Alaska.
What are you doing?
We can take it anywhere.
We?
It's so boring. He needs to paint this guy. I know he doesn't end up. I think he just paints it black or just leaves it deep. And now I'm on my YouTube app for looking at it. Take off spoon.
So I'm drilling this hole for the gas tank, and I just missed where the hole is supposed to be. After fixing my gas tank mistake, it was time to install the wiring very roughly. Before we can start this puppy, have to weld in radiator mounts and then get the radiators installed. So I just hold down this button, should fire up.
Almost dirtbike the air cooler. It's obviously not a rad.
Let's go test it. Oh, I think I've got the steering. See how this works. Hope this goes good. This is just a test.
This seems like all kinds of bad ideas. Even like a bar, like something you just pivoted the front wheels. There probably is no steering wheel. That's why it's.
This thing's sketchy. Oh no.
No shit.
What have I made? Dang.
You just fall off. Hold on, I missed that. What did you fail? What did you hit?
Wow, that was not a good first test ride. I almost took out my neighbor's tree.
The gear ratio is a little off, fortunately.
Yeah, the gear ratio is way bad. I don't have any brakes or steering. The rope does not work for steering. We've got some serious work to do to this. Good news, for the 2 seconds it was feeling good before it started veering into the neighbor's house. It felt great. I need to change the gearing, and we definitely need brakes, so let's change the gearing first. Here's our old sprocket. It's big. It's a 14 tooth. Here's our new one. This is the smallest one I could buy. This is an 11 tooth. It's going to have about a 30% reduction in gearing. So the engine's going to be going at a similar RPM, but the wheels will be spinning slower. So hopefully with this change, we'll be able to drive this puppy. Let's get this on, then steering, and we're going for another test drive. So now the chain is super loose, so we need to shorten it. Let's try out the new gearing, see if it made a difference. Oh, yeah. Do you think we could get it to do a burnout?
Oh, for sure.
All right, gearing is a success. Time for steering and gas and brake. I know this looks like complete junk, but it should work pretty good. So this is gas.
It looks like it's off of like a, what do you call it? Like theme park, or maybe theme park, like one of those like little adventure park go-karts. I almost guarantee it's exactly what it's off of, like a rental cart.
This is brake, and then this is going to be steering. I'm going to put this together, and it'll make a lot more sense once it's installed.
I've never seen a
Time to weld these onto the mainframe.
Drops off.
Brady, you're up.
No idea what I'm doing. Never TIG welded. Well, I have once.
Can I show him what you welded before this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Brady welded that.
First TIG welding experience ever. Now we're going in for number 2. Give me that thing.
And both are on very important parts.
Put me on it.
You look like you know what you're doing.
No idea. I don't know that it's gonna look good, but I think it might hold.
Wow. That's really good.
If you close your eyes hard enough.
Hopefully this time I won't crash into the neighbor's yard. So now we need to bolt this down and then figure out the steering.
You actually need to put in a brake system. I don't know what they're going to do I assume they're going
We're making
to...
good progress. We've got a steering wheel. Kind of steers. Yeesh.
I would have gone with a
I'm wearing a helmet this time. The gas pedal's hooked up. Still don't have brakes. That's why I'm wearing a helmet. The battery's dead. Maybe that's the buggy God's telling me to put brakes on it. Believe it or not, I'm going to put brakes on it right now. This thing's too dangerous to drive without brakes. I'm going to mount the brakes directly to the axle since it is solid and it connects both wheels. Sweet. Looks pretty good. Let's bleed some brakes. After bleeding the brakes, it was time to give the steering a big upgrade. It's time. So the steering is in. This is very similar to how it was steered when a horse would be connected to it, just reversed with pulleys. This was my buddy Brady's idea. I think it should work pretty good. So I just pull on these, and in theory, it will steer. So we've got steering. We have
the best sentence you could ever hear. In theory, it'll work. Like on a construction site, on whatever, you're like, all right, theory, this will. It's usually a good time to whip out a phone because something interesting is going to happen.
a brake, and we have a gas pedal. That means it's time to see if this contraption even works.
I like the green gas pedal and the red brake.
Nice touch.
Nice visual touch.
So I don't get them confused. Also, the garage has turned into a disaster. I should clean this up before we test, but I'm not going to.
Don't put that in. Can you turn the wheels just like that?
I can't. But I'll only need to turn them when I'm moving. So that's not necessarily a bad sign. You know what's not safe? This buggy. You know what is safe? Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe. That's why I'm excited to announce today's video sponsor is Simply Safe. Simply Safe has no Simply Safe. Also, I need to get a helmet.
Sponsor. Not paying.
These people are like, I'm out of here. No.
Oh no!
Into the tree.
The gearing is way too high. I let go of the clutch and I was going like 30 miles an hour. And the brakes were not working as good as I was hoping they would work. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's try that one again.
so fast.
This is sick. By far the scariest thing I've ever driven.
Here, I'll leave it here. Doesn't look like much more interesting stuff is going to happen. They adjust it and whatnot, but 46-minute video. Here's the link here. It's Matt I said Matt Spears. Matt Spears. Sorry. Go watch the video yourself. I hope to be making some of my own projects here. I just haven't had the time or the resources because some of the stuff's expensive to play with. I do have some of the tools you need though. So